Yeah. All right, man. We in here. Hope everyone has had a good day, going into a good night. It's been a wild 48 hours or so. It's good to be with you. Thank you guys so much for joining the conversation. You guys see the title of the live stream. You guys know how I do, man. It's film study time. We got to go through this footage. You know what I mean? And I had to take a little bit of time off to reset the batteries. The Fury fans have been coming in full force. I wouldn't even say Fury fans, to be honest with you, dude. I mean, a fair amount of Fury fans, but really Wilder haters. That's what it really is. And the reason why I say that is I know a lot of Fury fans personally. And 90% of them have been coming to me saying, hey, man, great fight. You know, great trilogy fight. Respect to Wilder, respect to Fury. No love lost, no hate, nothing. Get some Fury fans on YouTube that have taken it a bit personal. But you know what? For the most part, I'm starting to figure out that it's actually people that wanted Fury to win because they just dislike Wilder so much. So I'm starting to figure that out now, and they are really coming, like I said, full force right now. But you know, nothing that we can do about that other than, you know, just stick together like the family we are and not buy into their BS. You know what I mean? I'm going to speak a little bit about that here in a second. But what I want to do is give a shout out to all the people that came into the chat early. You got my man Blackwa man, excuse me. Ratchet since 91 in the building. 510 Radar in the building. SM, an official member of the channel. I appreciate you stopping by tonight, man. KSI, what's good, man? Isaiah B in the building. M Banks Unfiltered. J Smooth. Rada Prophet B1. Thank you for joining. Specific Volume in the building. Always good to have you a part of the chat, bro. Omega Red, good to have you. Razor 531. Always good to see you in the chat. Vando's crew, Clips, just jumping in. What's up? Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. More fun with me. I don't know if that's a troll or what's going on with that. But look. Oh, Williams, what's good? Yeah, I had to take some time off, man. Reset the batteries. Evaluate the film. If you guys joined my entire live stream or parts of the live stream that I did during the fight, I appreciate you. It went 5 hours. We started from the undercard. We went into the main event, and then we talked a little bit after the fight. As in, what I mean by we is I have my man Brian on here, and we talked about a lot of different things post-fight. But what I wanted to do in this video is really magnify what went down this past Saturday night. What went wrong for Wilder, essentially. And I want to give you guys my thoughts. You know, I know you guys like and enjoy my film studies. And we're going to take a serious look at it. I had to talk to some people behind the scenes about it, get different opinions, get different thoughts. And, you know, I'll be completely honest with you. When the fight was over and the fight was stopped, I didn't feel any despair. I was a little bit disappointed, obviously, because I was going for Wilder. But I didn't feel like, oh my God, you know, life's over. Like, oh my God, I don't know if I can ever show my face on YouTube again. I didn't have that feeling at all. I was proud of Wilder for fighting to the bitter end. But as time went on and the trolls started coming in full force, I mean, going in the videos that I posted, you know, 3-4 months ago, they made it a mission, you know. They definitely made it a mission to track me down and do all kinds of, you know, hatred comments and stuff like that. My biggest issue is not necessarily them coming back to rub it in my face or any of these other content creators' faces. I don't agree with it because I wouldn't have done that personally. But my real problem is when the truth comes out and it's flipped and it's turned into race. You know what I'm saying? I had a handful of individuals coming over to my videos talking about, you know, you look at the shameful white man going against his race. You know, this whole time he must feel full of shame. Go bury yourself. Go kill yourself. Go jump off a cliff. You know, dropping all kinds of like monkey emojis and shit like that. And then, you know, that's when you know, right? That's when you know when it's not about boxing. It's not about being a Fury fan. It's about hatred. You know what I'm saying? But what we're going to do here is we're going to look at the film study. We're going to break it down. And I'm going to be completely and brutally honest with you guys. You guys know how I get down over here. You know, I don't beat around the bush or cut corners. We're going to look at it, and I'm going to tell you exactly what went wrong for Wilder. And the more I've done this film study now leading up to this show, probably 5 or 6 times. And the disappointment really, really sets in. You know, watching it live with adrenaline and the 4th round was crazy. It's more of like you're emotionally attached to the fight as a fan of boxing, but also a fan of Wilder. You're emotionally attached to it. You don't see all the little things. Even though during the fight I was screaming, go to the body, go to the body. You know, let me see some uppercuts. Keep your hands up. Right? But when you really take a moment to just watch it on mute and really dissect it scientifically, the disappointment really, really sets in on the expectations that we had for Wilder, and he didn't achieve those expectations. And I'm not here to criticize his heart, his determination, his grit, his chin. And I'm not here to discredit Fury either. You know what I mean? And I told people for a long time leading up to this fight, Fury's no pushover. Fury's no joke. You know, he's big, he's tall, he's long. He's been doing this his entire life. And he does the small things, you know, much better than Wilder does. I told people this. People act as if I ignored all this stuff. You know what I mean? People really act like I'm just so fixated on Wilder and I'm a Wilder fanboy. Like, these people don't pay attention, man. And before I start this film study, and I appreciate everyone being patient because I want to get this monologue off the top real quick because it's important. Because once I start the film study, I'm gonna be hyper focused on it. A lot of people, content creators too, out here, have already started to accuse me of being tainted and being a Wilder fan and not really being a true boxing fan. That whatever, man. That doesn't really bother me. That's some kid shit. But my issue is this. First off, I never jumped on the bandwagon of Deontay Wilder. I've been supporting him since 2013, 14, coming up, when nobody wanted to give him any credit. Those same people that didn't give him credit then still don't give him credit today. Nothing's changed. And I had my emotional attachment with Deontay Wilder for a few reasons. Number one, American heavyweight, on a mission to bring the belts back to America as the undisputed heavyweight champion, since we haven't seen since Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson. Doing it in grand fashion, knocking dudes out. And I'm going to support my countrymen. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I don't always do that, but in the heavyweight division, I have a little soft spot for American heavyweights. I'm not going to lie to you. The second reason is his story. People have forgotten where this man came from. People have forgotten what he's had to do to get to the point to have a trilogy match against one of the best heavyweights of this era, period. People have forgotten that. Working 4 jobs to support his daughter. Deciding to go into boxing to figure out a way to support his family. He was raised in a household with his father and mother. He was raised with family values. And he wanted to continue those values within his own family and his own children. It took a lot of courage and dedication. And it's amazing how far he got in boxing as quickly as he got it. And, you know, that should be an inspirational story for all of us. Basically coming from nothing and turning into something amazing. And he did it the hard way. You know, and a lot of people are going to sit up here and criticize his resume and this, that, or whatever. Those are haters, man. They're haters. I don't care what anybody says. Haters. He didn't fight Joshua. He didn't fight Klitschko. He didn't fight... Man, how many people would have fought Fury 3 times? Let's be honest here. Who would have knocked down Fury 4 times out of 3 fights? He knocked down Fury 4 times in 3 fights, nearly knocked him out twice. And he's the man with the least amount of boxing skill between the two. Right? And he knocks the man down 4 times. And if it wasn't for Fury being so damn hard-headed and experienced to recover from those type of shots, we would be having a whole different type of conversation. And on that note, I find it ironic how Fury fans sit up here and be like, this was a demolishment of Wilder. He went in there and dominated the entire fight and beat him from pillar to post and knocked him out. Your man, I don't know how you guys conveniently forget this. I'm going to be honest with you. In the first fight, you conveniently forget the fact that the man was only basically knocked out. Okay? Then again, in the third fight, he's basically not knocked out, but he was seriously hurt. In the first fight, he was knocked out. And somehow he snapped out of it. But in the third fight, he was seriously hurt. Seriously hurt. And if that fourth round had about 10 to 15 seconds more, that fight would have been over. And I've heard a lot of Fury fans say that themselves. That fight would have been over. Now, the point is this. I'm not trying to taint the victory of Fury. The better man won. Congratulations. But what I'm saying is a far superior skilled fighter almost got beat by the power puncher again. So that's why I'm saying his story is amazing. Now, I'm about to get into the film study and critique his wrongdoings in the ring. That's coming. And we're going to have to, as Wilder fans, we're going to have to take it on the chin. It is what it is. He did not have a good performance. He didn't. But this is all this is out of love. And I'm sure Malik Scott and Wilder are going to do the same thing once things kind of cool down or whatever. It's going to be a dish served cold, basically. But I just want people, especially the Fury fans watching in the back, listen, they hate me so much for many different reasons. I saw 78 go live after the fight, and he was congratulating Wilder on his toughness and his grit, and he said he was proud of him, and the trolls were coming after 78 like you wouldn't believe. The wrenches were very busy. But I get attacked in other ways. You know what I mean? They can't stand the fact that I'm a Wilder fan. They hate it. They hate it. I'm telling you, they hate it. They can't wrap their head around it. Am I still a Wilder fan because he lost? Absolutely. Absolutely, because of who he is and what his story is. It doesn't change where he came from. And Malik Scott in an interview recently said, hey, at the end of the day, man, Wilder's on a jet plane back home to Alabama to be with his family in a house that he built from scratch. $20, $30 million richer. His family is secure for the rest of their life. That is victory right there, people. That is a win. Hate all you want. Hate on Wilder all you want. While you're here on YouTube, writing racist comments, dropping these monkey emojis and doing all the hateful things that you do, Wilder is winning. He has won. And what he did last Saturday night, you would never dream of doing. Period. You would never dream of doing that. You don't play boxing, man. Mario, what's good, man? Thanks for dropping by. Cristiano, what's good, man? Thanks for dropping by tonight. Nap Artist, always good to see you. Isaiah Felix, thank you for coming tonight. Dave, official member of the channel, I appreciate you. Dazzling Urbanite, always good to see you. Juan Menzi says long count again. I would say that the count was off. The count was off. I went over that in my live after the fight. I counted it with my man Brian. We went over it 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And basically, my biggest issue with the count was the ref was at 7. And clearly it's like 9. It's like 9.5. And depending on how you count, everybody counts a little bit different. You know what I mean? It could be 10. It can be 8. But for me, I usually get 9. But the ref is at 7. So that's my issue with it right there. But look, people, we can't change the past, man. It is what it is. It is what it is. But I think we got a nice little crew in the live now. I wanted to get a few things off my chest before I started this live stream. And, you know, like I said, man, it's going to be a bit critical, but it's all out of love. It's all out of love. Oh, Williams says they both made $25 million before the pay-per-view. Yeah, exactly. I mean, y'all out there hating. Wilder, he's been winning, man. He's already a winner, already been a champ. He's able to take care of his family. Now he's at home, you know, wrapping his head around what happened, and he can choose to retire and be good. Or he might decide to come back and fight a little bit more. We don't know, but he's put himself in a position to make these type of decisions. So hate all you want. Period. Juan said, Andre Ward said, I know, bro. I know. But I want to say another thing is you can't use a timer, man. Like, you can't use a timer because human counting and timer, because, you know, the scorekeeper ringside doesn't use a timer, right? They use their hands, they use their fingers. You got to go off of human error. This is the harsh reality, man. But like I said, the ref was off. He gave Fury a lot of time to recover in that 4th round. Like I said, if there was 10, 15 seconds more left in that round, that fight's over. Period. Fury was seriously hurt. He recovered nicely in between the 4th and the 5th round. He came back out. I still gave Wilder the 5th round, though. I gave Wilder 4 and 5. But basically, after 5, it went downhill. And we're about to get into it. At the end of the day, we can talk about long counts. We can talk about the referee didn't break him up enough. We can talk about the headlocks. We can talk about the dirty little tactics that Fury did. At the end of the day, man, we knew this was going to happen. We prepared for this. I dropped the video about Randall Mora. I dropped the whole video about the referee. I warned people. The title of the video was Beware. I told people. I warned people. We knew this. I talked about the gloves. I told people, be prepared for all these possibilities. So for me, like, what it really comes down to is Wilder wasn't his best. Period. That's something that we have to accept. You know, that's just something that we have to accept. If I'm going to put it to you this way. I spent a lot of time on this channel doing reviews and studies of his training, right, with Malik Scott. And I was a huge advocate and supporter of what I was witnessing in that training. The hand speed, the movement, the fluidity, going to the body, 3, 4, 5 punch combinations. You know, the power, the speed. All that, right? Huge advocate of it. Now, I told people that in those training videos that he did with Malik Scott, a lot of it was theatrics. But a lot of it was real improvements, real refinement, something that we've never seen Wilder do before. But people, with all the love in my heart for Wilder and everybody in this chat, We didn't see that in the fight. We got a glimpse of it in the first round. We got a glimpse of it. And my biggest fear was when it gets tough. And I knew it was going to get tough because that's just who Fury is. As much as I can't stand the man, as much as I will never support the man because what he represents and how he carries himself, and if people don't like that I say that, deal with it. The dude's a clown, and I'll never change my position on that. But I got to give the man the credit that he deserves. The dude is tough, man. The dude is tough, and he came to fight. And I knew it was going to get tough at some point. And my biggest fear was, when it gets tough, will Wilder implement what he has learned and stick to his game plan, or will he resort back to the old Deontay Wilder? That was my biggest fear. And we saw what happened. Now, he's a warrior. He could have gave up. He could have quit. But at the end of the day, man, he went back to his old self. And it made it easy for Fury. It made it easy for Fury. Wilder just backing up to the ropes. Not protecting himself. Trying to load up on the right hand. It made it easy for Fury. And that's what we didn't want. Now, there's a ref. There's a ref. I see the comments of refs. Apologize. We're gonna get into this film study.
He's trying to step.
All right. First, let me go ahead and pause this music real quick so we can focus and get into it. For all those people that have joined and have been patient through my little speech and my little monologue there, I appreciate you, man. I just want to get that stuff off my chest. Got to get it off my chest, man. And I'm just dealing with a lot of trolls right now. It's tough, man. It's tough dealing with these people, man. And you try to ignore them, and they just try to figure out a way to slip through the cracks. But let's look at this. Dr. Hook, man, what's good? Jay Smooth, what's good, man? Koss, my man, what's good? Broxy's Boxing, how you doing, bro? Case Nasty in the building. Thanks for dropping by. Yeah, all right, let's get into this, man. I appreciate everybody taking the time to look through this film study with me. Let me check the poll real quick before I roll into this. If you guys haven't hit the like button, we got 60 people in here. You guys know the drill. We should have 60 likes. I understand we got haters. They're out there punching air right now because they can't comment. But, at the end of the day, man, we got as critical as we may be to Wilder, it's out of love, man. And we love him to death, and we're never going to stop doing that. He's part of this family for life, regardless of the result that happened Saturday night. And we got to continue to show that support by clicking like on these videos that these content creators do, and being a part of it. We don't hang our head low. We don't turn our back. We stand strong, steadfast in our beliefs. And that's what we have to do out here, because we got to stay united. Once we go divided, man, the trolls win. The racists win. The evil wins. We got to stay united out here. So far, I got 52% says that Wilder came in too heavy. 19% said no. And then 29% said that the weight didn't matter. So Interesting poll there. Now, before I start this, let me go ahead and talk about the weight real quickly. I would say that the weight didn't matter. That would be my vote. And I'll tell you why, just real quickly. I know there's a lot of talk about it, so I want to address it. First and foremost, there's pros and cons, people. People need to understand there are pros and cons between coming in at, let's say, 212, what he did the first fight, and 238, 240. Yes, at 212, he's able to, uh, carry his weight a little bit better. The fuck is it? All right, we back. I apologize, man. My things start like freezing up on me, man. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that. Shit. All right, we back. I apologize, man. I think my thing's acting up on me, man. I don't know what's going on. So hopefully we're good now. It's freezing up on me a little bit. All right. Let me talk. I was talking about the weight. Let me get back into the weight again. There's pros and cons. He came in the first fight 212. He came into the third fight. I think he's about 240. After the weigh-in, he probably rehydrated a little bit. So coming in at 212, yes, he's going to carry that weight much better. He's going to be, quicker on his feet. And, he's going to have those fast twitch muscle fibers firing much better. And we saw that in the first fight, in the 12th round, he was still able to carry, he still was able to have the speed, right? He's still able to carry his power into the later rounds. But what people need to realize is in that first fight, Fury was on the back foot for the most part. Wilder was kind of trying to walk him down. He didn't have to deal with Fury, weighing down on him as much as he did in the second and third fight. This is exactly why Fury brought in Sugar Hill, to force Fury out of his comfort zone and have him, forced him to walk Wilder down and put his body weight on him. Okay? And so when you look at it, you have to look at it like this. If you're 212, imagine a 270 plus body laying on you when you're 212. His legs would have crumbled even faster. He would have struggled in the clinch even more than what he did in the third fight. This is not the first fight. The first fight was a boxing match, basically. And it was Wilder trying to track him down with the right hand. And so there are pros and cons to it. When he comes in at 240, he's able to handle the clinch a little bit better, right? He's able to withstand the weight a little bit better. But of course, he loses his speed. He loses his explosiveness, and he's going to get tired much faster. So if you come in at 212, then basically you are saying, all right, I'm going to come in here fast, light on my feet, and I'm going to try to knock this guy within 5 rounds. And if you don't do that, it's game over. So it's a gamble either way when you're dealing with the guy like Tyson Fury. Now, I would agree, Wilder is at his best at that weight. He's naturally a tall, lean, but powerful man. 212 to 215 is a very good weight for him. He's had the most success at that weight. But all the guys leading up to Tyson Fury, they're not Tyson Fury. You understand what I'm saying? They don't fight like Tyson Fury. Most guys that he fought were leery of him. They didn't come forward as much. Ortiz did it a little bit here and there, but most of them are leery. It gives time for Wilder to set his feet and do his 1-2, right? This fight, they knew. They were smart enough to know that if they come in too small, they're gonna get roughhoused and worn down, and if we don't catch him early, we're gonna get crumbled. So they came in heavier. People, this fight went to the 11th round. So you can make the argument that the 240, it hurt him muscle endurance wise and it hurt him cardio wise, but he had enough mass to survive. If he was 212, he would have folded much faster. So people need to understand that. Yep. So I know a lot of people are talking about the weight. The polls in the chat, you can vote. Be honest, it's an opinion. For me, the weight doesn't matter. What mattered was if you come in at 240, you got to know that you're probably going to get tired faster. So we have to be conservative with our punches, economical with our punches, and we have to be systematic. When we saw the pad work and the mitt work with Malik Scott, we saw speed, we saw accuracy, we saw body attack, we saw good foot movement, we saw balance, things that we've never seen from Deontay before. And he was doing that at his fighting weight, maybe a little bit less. Maybe he was like 230, 235. But he certainly, in those videos of Malik Scott, he wasn't 212, okay? He wasn't 212. He'd been building up to that weight for quite a long time. So we can see that he can do it at a heavier weight. But come fight night, it's a different ball game. It's just a different ball game, man. You got the adrenaline, you got the crowd, you got the nerves, and then you got a big man who you cannot really simulate in sparring. Good luck trying to find a sparring partner who is 6'8", 6'9", 270, who fights as good as Fury on the inside. You can't prepare for it. Good luck. Now, if you're Fury, you can't find anybody with the power of Deontay. Fair enough. But you can find athletic, fast, hard-punching guys. It's much easier to find heavyweights like that than it is a guy who's as big as Fury, long as Fury, on the front foot like Fury, who can work and clinch on the inside like Fury. These are the harsh realities that we have to accept. But my biggest issue is Malik knew this. Malik worked with this with Wilder. I guarantee you they probably sat down and talked about this, for hours. They probably talked about this for hours and worked on it and trained on it and and it's just, I don't know if Wilder was too caught up in retribution and or it was much more difficult than what he thought it was going to be. Or I mean, I don't know. Only Wilder knows this. Only Wilder knows this. And it's not here like to bash Wilder, and be like, oh, you let us down. It's not that. It's that we're disappointed. You know what I mean? We are disappointed because we had really high expectations and we believed in him. And that's why I highlight the fourth round. The fourth round is spectacular because you can kind of see where the fight was going. We started seeing shades of the second fight, right? I was like, oh shit, here we go. And then Wilder knocked him down, and I was like, I thought it was over. Fury got up. I gave Wilder the fifth round, but it just kind of, that was pretty much it. The muscle endurance just started depleting. The lactic acid was building up. He was huffing and puffing, breathing through the mouth. He started defending him less and less. When he tried to go to the body, he wasn't like, sliding and jabbing. He was going straight forward, going back in a straight line, coming forward in a straight line, in the line of Fury's punches, man. And it just got increasingly worse and worse and worse. We're going to get into the film study, but I do have my man here, Dave. He mentioned something interesting. He said people don't understand the difference between stamina and endurance. I talked about this a little bit. This will be my last little synopsis here, my last little breakdown before I get into the film study. I talked about, and this is my line of work, okay? I'm a strength and conditioning coach, and I would have loved to be a part of Wilder's camp naturally, right? It's my profession. I love working with athletes, and I love Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean? I would have loved to be a part of his camp. But people need to understand that there is a difference between fast twitch and slow twitch muscle fibers, and how oxygen and blood goes into those muscles, and how energy works, right? And what people need to understand is that Wilder has a very extremely strong upper body. He has a very lean and athletic lower body that works against most of the guys that he's fought and knocked out. But he struggles against somebody as big as Tyson Fury. So my point is this. Your shoulders, your calf muscles, for example, your triceps, those are fast twitch muscle fibers, right? They burn out quicker, but they also recover faster. Your quads, your hamstrings, and your glutes are big muscles. They are slow twitch muscle fibers, meaning it takes a little bit longer to burn out. But once you're burned out, that's it. It takes so much longer to recover your legs. It takes much more oxygen and blood to keep your legs moving. You have to understand how the heart and the lungs operate. Their job is not to let me pump a bunch of blood and oxygen in your legs so you can keep going. If you do that, your organs shut down. Your heart and your lungs' responsibility is to keep blood flowing into your organs and into your brain, especially when your heart rate is elevated, your blood sugar is dropping, and you still have to move your arms and do different things. Blood and oxygen is going to go away from your legs to provide that protection. And that's why when you see fighters, when their legs get weak, is because they are fatigued, because they're not getting enough oxygen. They have burned that energy out, the carbohydrates, the sugars, and things like that keep your muscles moving. And from the second fight and the third fight, he struggled massively with his leg endurance. It's almost like he didn't in camp. And I understand he probably running and jump rope is great. But you have when you're going up against a guy like Fury, you got to do heavy explosive work. Okay? We do these things called goblet squats, right? You take a dumbbell. For a guy like Wilder, easily like a 55-pound, 60-pound dumbbell. And you hold it right here. Right? And you squat down, deep squat, and you jump with that dumbbell and jump with that dumbbell and jump with that dumbbell until your legs don't move anymore. And you do that every single day for 6 months. Exercises like that. Because in boxing, people, if you lose your legs, you're finished. Anybody who has boxed before, you would know the first thing that gets that wears down are your legs. And if your legs don't move, you can't protect yourself. And another thing people have to understand is Deontay Wilder is not slick like Fury, who can use a shoulder roll and stay in front of you and deflect punches. That's not Deontay Wilder's style. That is not Deontay Wilder's style. Okay? So his defense is his feet. That's how he gets away from danger. Okay? And when you don't have your legs and your feet, you cannot get out of danger. It's simple. Deontay doesn't have the ability, because he's never had to develop the skill of being an inside fighter and slipping and deflecting punches like Fury does. We're going to get into the film study, and you're going to see how much energy Fury saves by not moving around as much as Wilder does. You're going to see how he conserves a lot of energy because he's experienced. All right? So I wanted to get that out there too. Legs were a huge issue in this fight for Deontay Wilder. A huge issue. And it's because, and we're going to get into the film study, but they're so fixated on building that upper body strength for power because they want to just land that big punch and devastate Fury. Like, sure, if you can land it in the first 4 rounds, you got a chance. And he did land it in the 4th round, but as soon as Fury got up, it went downhill from there. He didn't have his legs anymore. Okay? And Master Storm, what's up? So look, I hope everybody gets my point on those things, because this is coming from a guy who does this type of stuff for a living. Big Dog Willie, what's good, man? All right. Let's get into this, man. This is a highlight video, okay? So it's not going to go the entire fight. It's a highlight video simply because I don't think my computer can handle the entire fight anyway. I'm having some lagging issues as it is. So let's get into the film study, man, and I'm going to show you guys, well, what went wrong, basically. Hopefully, my computer doesn't crash on me.
Right towards Tyson Fury.
Gut.
Wilder's been a lot more active in this.
They've had 19 months together to prepare for this moment, albeit the
Fury exudes confidence. He's very relaxed in Wilder. Jazzu.
All right. I'm experiencing a lot of lag. I'm experiencing a lot of lag with this video. So, let's do it another way. Let's do it another way. This is the risky way. But it is what it is. I'm going to try to get it out here. Be prepared for a possible deletion. But I want to be able to get this film study out properly. All right. We'll do it this way with no volume, and hopefully we can get through it without too many issues. All right. So this is the highlight video, okay, guys? So we're just going to highlight certain things. Okay. All right, guys, let's get into it. Now, this is the first round, right? So right off the bat, I was very, very happy with the first round, other than him being way too tight. Okay, he looked tight. He looked rigid. He looked like he was putting in way too much power and energy into these punches in the first round. This is something that you want to see. You want to see the game plan. The game plan's fine. The game plan's great. Jab to the body, right hand to the body, in and out, great. But not relaxed. Very tight, very rigid. And when you put that amount of energy into your punches, into a big man, you're not going to knock out Tyson Fury with a punch to the body in the first round, right? But he's fighting as if he's throwing punches as if he's trying to really hurt Fury, and he's just putting way too much energy into it, and that led to his downfall. It started from the first round. Rigid, tight, not relaxed, and burning a lot of energy and putting a lot of power into these body shots. Where if he would have just stayed on his toes and pop in and out and just touch him, you just got to touch him. You're going to win the regardless, because Fury didn't throw much in this first round. Fury was probably a little bit surprised that Wilder came out the way he did. So he had the edge there. So it's like you just got to touch him and win the round. Get the point across that you're a different fighter, and Fury, he couldn't stop Wilder from going to the body. He couldn't. But you don't have to load up with every shot to the body. And if Wilder did this for a couple of rounds, he would have saved a lot of energy, and he could have set up a big shot up to the head, right? But we'll get into it. But that's what I wanted to say about the first round. Game plan wise is great. Great right hand to the body. Still in the first round. I mean, Fury was definitely confused. He was like, "Oh, okay," But Fury's staying relaxed and he's reading Wilder. He's saying he's trying to get what he's trying to do. He doesn't want to get hit with a big punch early, and Fury's on the back foot, right? And that was the question leading into the fight: will Fury come out on the front foot or will he come out on the back foot? Wilder put Fury on the back foot very quickly, and I thought, yeah, like that's what you want to do. Great job. But I was saying during the live, he needs to relax, though. It's like he's just putting way too much into it early, first round. All right, let's keep it moving. I mean, obviously, he wins this first round clearly. Nice right hand to the body. I mean, he was doing great, like game plan wise, but he's just loading up. Look at that headlock. That takes a lot out of you, man. And that shit started early. Loading up with shots. Very, very early. All right, so I'm guessing we're in the second round now, where Fury started changing it up. He made his adjustments coming into the second round, and now Fury's moving forward. Now Fury's on the front foot. And he's landing some big shots. Wilder's landing the big right hand, but it's just not quite perfect yet, And Fury is very good at like rolling with it. Even though Wilder makes contact, he rolls with the punch. He rolls with it. He turns his face. You know what I'm saying? He turns his face when that right hand is coming. And every single big right hand that's coming, Wilder is expending a lot of energy at 240 pounds. This is why the first, second, third round, you got to be loose, man. You got to be relaxed. Jab the body, pop out, reset, breathe. You know what I mean? And I there's something that I find very interesting that has, helped me compete even at my age, going into my mid to late 30s. I'm still able to compete at a decent level in CrossFit and calisthenic events and many different things. I've learned breathing technique is so important, and relaxing your body even when you're under stress. And that is something that Fury does very well. He knows how to relax and stay loose and not burn too much energy. He has these little explosive moments, but then he resets and relaxes. Where Wilder, he's just tight. He's just tight the whole time. He's like, yeah. He's not breathing properly. He's wasting energy, and it's just too early to do that. Now, if it's like the 11th, 12th round and you're down on the scorecards and you got to go for broke, fine. Tighten up and just go for it. But this is early. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I've learned from competing in different different sports is how to breathe when you're really, really tired, on how to rest when you're working. Does that make sense? If you can rest while you're working, you save energy. And that's what Fury does well. He knows how to rest when he's working. And he had a huge advantage in the clinch. That's when Fury leans on Wilder and recovers. And while he's doing that, Wilder is struggling to get the weight off of him. He can't breathe. He can't recover. He has no moments of recovery other than sitting on the stool between rounds. So if you break it down mathematically, Wilder is resting a minute between rounds, but Fury is getting a minute and a half plus because he's resting on the stool and he's resting in the clinch. A great sparring partner for Wilder in this fight should have been the guy who fought on the undercard, Sanchez, the Cuban guy. Because he's slick. He moves. He knows how to tie up. He can pot shot. And he forced Wilder out of his comfort zone. You know, as much as I like Helenius as a sparring partner, he's a big guy, strong guy. Helenius is going to stand in front of you. He's going to stand in front of you, right? And you get into a little punching match. You got to get a guy in there who's going to move and slide around and come forward and pot shot you. And it's going to force Wilder to use his feet and force Wilder to be conservative with his punches with a smaller, elusive target. Fury is a big target, and for some reason, Fury draws Wilder in. Wilder, number one, doesn't fear Fury's power. That's number one. Secondly, he's a big target. That draws Wilder in to think that if I just throw something, I'm going to land it because he's big. But when you got a guy in there like Sanchez, who's elusive, Wilder can't throw punches like that, like he's doing in this fight, because he's swinging at air. So you teach that mentality to be conservative, because conservatism in boxing, when you're a heavyweight, will prolong your longevity in that fight. And it's like the bell rang. He came out in the first round, going to the body, doing good things, but he's rigid, he's tight. Then the second round, Fury makes adjustments, starts coming forward, and Wilder somehow just says, oh, like, now I just got to punch hard and try to land something because I don't want him to press me. I don't want him to be all over me. I don't want this to be a repeat of the second fight. He lost his conservative, discipline game plan early. Let's get back to it. I mean, look at Fury. Look at Fury. Shoulder in Wilder's face, right? Walking him back, pulling down on him, right? And Fury likes to use his head. Go to the right, go to the left. And that forces Wilder to move his head too, because if he doesn't, Fury's head will go into his face. These are like old school tactics. You know, Jack Dempsey used to do this because he, you know, ironically enough, Jack was smaller than a lot of his opponents. But Jack did that shit all the time. Put his head all up in the fighter's face and you know, and these little things that Wilder has to do is constantly shift around Fury in the clinch, burns energy. If you guys are just coming in, man, make sure you hit that like button. Don't just come in and get comfortable. We put in some work right now, man. Hit that like button. Get those likes all the way up. Leron says, Fury said facts. He did say he would do that. So it goes back to they knew, they prepared for it, but Wilder didn't implement the training that he did in camp for the fight. Notice how, too, Fury pulls down he grabs a hold of his head and he pulls Wilder's head down. So Wilder's throwing a punch. Fury slips it, reaches out, so Wilder can't follow up, right? That's experience. He throws a big punch, he rolls with it, and before Wilder can follow up, he grabs his head and pulls his head down. So you're putting a lot of energy into a big power shot. You didn't land it cleanly, and then you get your head pulled down. You end up like this. And now you got to pull yourself out of it. And by the way, in this fight, Wilder took a lot of damage to that side of the head where he got injured, now he's got that dent in his head. He took a lot of damage in that same spot in this fight. It makes me wonder if Fury was targeting that area. All right, so I think we're third round now. At this point, guys, you can tell he already abandoned the body work. He's not doing any feints. He's not doing any head movement. And all he's trying to do is blind him with the jab and then try to get that right hand in there. This is what I was talking about earlier before I was talking about it. He went back to his old self, trying to land that big right hand. And he's just putting in so much energy and power behind these shots. And people, it's the old saying in boxing, right? It takes more energy to swing and miss than it does to swing and hit something. And down he goes. And that's partly, it's partly exhaustion. I mean, this was the third round. Okay. Exhaustion is already starting to set in, but I want you guys to take notice to Wilder's feet here, right? And Fury's holding him down, right? So he's already been hit with the shot. He's hurt a little bit, wobbled, and Fury does he knows these little tricks, man, and starts pushing him down a little bit. Now, what's going to happen is Wilder, his legs are going to cross over one another, and that his feet come together. Look at how his feet are. Y'all see that? So that's because he doesn't have energy in his legs to step out with his right foot and keep balance. He didn't have the energy in his legs. This is why I'm telling people, you got to do leg work in boxing. And no, I'm not talking about squats. Everyone says, you got to do squats. No. Functional training movements. Goblet squats, working with dumbbells, kettlebells, lunges, reverse lunges, forward lunges, explosive work, vertical jumping. Build that endurance in your legs. This is the third fight, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, the third round. This is the third round, ladies and gentlemen. Look at how his legs are in the third round. It's not just, he was 240. This is the third round. Razor, yeah. I mean, I get it. He's a warrior. He fought to the end. Absolutely. We have to hold him accountable for abandoning the game plan and for fighting sloppy. This is out of love, people. This is out of love because we care about Wilder, man. And we know he has the ability to do it. We saw it in camp. We saw it. And I don't know if the whole retribution and the anger that he had and the spite that he had against Fury clouded his judgment. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, he just couldn't stay disciplined to the game plan, and his legs were not in the proper shape. Those are the two biggest reasons why he lost his fight. Oh, and the third one, not protecting himself when he's hurt. Those are the three reasons why he lost his fight. In a nutshell. Not sticking to the game plan. His emotions got the best of him. He was so fixated and honed in on trying to knock this man out that he lost the game plan. Number two, his legs didn't have the fitness that they needed to withstand a 270 plus man who they knew was going to lay all over him and clinch him all day long. They knew this. And three, not protecting himself when he was hurt properly. But a lot of that, not being able to protect himself, has to do with no leg endurance. Tired, fatigue. You can't protect yourself when you're exhausted. Let's keep it moving. So he goes down. We see his feet. He's not really hurt, but he's just so tired. He's already tired. And look at guys, look. This is what I want you guys to understand. Check this out. His legs are basically like they're already starting to deteriorate. Now look at his face. He's not breathing hard. He's not huffing and puffing yet. It's not like, it's not cardiovascular, people. Let me say that again. It is not cardiovascular. He didn't have legs. He's shaking his head because he's like, I'm not tired. It's just, I can't stand up. I can't move anymore. It didn't take long. This is the third round. Let me remind people. This is the third round. Look at the bottom left-hand corner. 3rd of 12. Third round. But you can tell by his face, he's not tired, people. As in cardiovascular-wise. He don't got his legs. Look at his body position here. All of his weight is on that back foot. His back leg, even in the second fight, his back leg, which is right leg, burned out very quickly for the same exact reason. He leans back, all of his weight on that right leg, and what should he do? Step back and slide out. You're allowing Fury to step into you. Headlock, uppercut with the headlock. Look, y'all see that sequence? 3-step sequence. Check it out. Gets knocked down. Shaking his head. He's not tired, but he ain't got no legs. Okay, look. Fury's going to step into him, force him to put all of his 240 pounds on one leg. He's got no balance here. His weight is not balanced between two of his feet. It's all on one foot. Then Fury loses the jab. He doesn't hit the jab, but he's already into Wilder. Then he's going to take his left arm, wrap it around Wilder's head into a headlock, and piece him up with an uppercut. Look at where the referee is. This is what I'm telling you guys, the experience that Fury has. From the point where the referee is, he can't see this headlock. Right? So watch. Wrap his head around, headlock him, uppercut him. Look. Whoop. Boom. Right? Let me see if we can hear Malik say anything here.
They're in some trouble there at the end of the round. You could barely hear the bell the way the crowd.
Now, what I want you, they're just the commentators. What I want you guys to see here, the look on Wilder's face. This is not a face of huffing and puffing and I'm exhausted cardio-wise, because I believe he did his cardio. He ran, he pushed sleds, he did the pad work, the heavy bet. He did all the essentials. But this to me, and of course this is my opinion, but this to me is a face of, damn it, here we are again. I don't got my legs, man. I don't have my legs. This is not like exhaustion yet. He gets exhausted later. And do you know how I know when people are really, really tired? Is because they have trouble drinking water because they're breathing so hard that it's hard to drink water, right? He's drinking water with no problem. So he's not huffing and puffing, but he's starting to fatigue muscular endurance wise. Boxing Redemption, what's good, man? He says, I really think the fight should have been stopped earlier. That KO at the end was bad and unnecessary. Will he ever be the same fighter again? Well, rather he comes back or not is yet to be seen. At the end of the day, he's made a lot of money in the sport. He has set up himself and his family probably for the rest of their lives. You know, to be quite honest with you, it's going to come down to him on whether he still has that fire. It's either a situation where he's at a point in his life and his career where he can no longer make adjustments, that he is who he is, or he comes back, takes a tune-up fight, and looks amazing, which then that would mean that it's just Tyson Fury. It's just Tyson Fury that brings this kind of fighter out of him where he just looks this way. It's going to be one or the other. But look, Boxing Redemption, man, I appreciate the super chat, brother. All right, let's keep it moving. Right there, that shot hit him right in the same area pretty much that he got dropped in the second fight. Boom, side of the head. All right, so this is the fourth round. We all know what happens in the fourth round, right? Leaning on him again, keeping that shoulder in Wilder's face. And he's just loading up with massive shots. People, when you miss like this, when you miss how Wilder misses, you're basically depleting. Like, look at that big miss, right? Fury ducked underneath it. There's so much velocity and power coming in behind that punch that you're basically depleting another 5% from your gas tank. Boom. And he got the knockdown. And they don't really show it that clear on how he actually did it. Maybe they'll do a replay or something. But when he got this knockdown, I thought it was over. I thought, man, it was over. He really walked into it. Fury got sloppy there. Fury got very sloppy there and basically walked into Wilder's right hand. I think he thought Wilder was hurt, and he thought, I can finish him right here. And he was kind of walking forward with his hands up. And Wilder punched through his guard. He punched right through Fury's guard. And that mistake of a little bit of sloppiness almost costed Fury this fight. It nearly costed him the fight. And he didn't fully recover from this knockdown. He looks okay, but he's not. He's not fully recovered, and that's why he gets dropped again here in a moment. Because he doesn't get hit with a big shot again. It's a little bit of a shot there. Not a lot of power behind it, but I just think he didn't fully recover from that first knockdown. And unfortunately for Wilder, the round ended. From this sequence, from him getting knocked down, unfortunately, we can't see the clock. The referee is at 8 here, but I believe he was on 7 when the scorekeeper is probably at about 9, 10, to be honest with you. But whatever. The point is this. The time that he got up, then the time that the referee gave him to recover, basically took the round away from Wilder. Okay, because by the time he got knocked down, there was probably about 20 seconds left. And it took about 20 seconds for the knockdown, the recovery, and then the round was over. Right? If there was another 15, 20 seconds, well, look at Fury's body language. He's not in good shape. Okay? Now, yeah, he recovered in the corner after this round, don't get me wrong. But right now, look at his body language. He was not in good shape. If there was another 15, 20 seconds, I think Wilder probably could have dug deep a little bit more and emptied the tank on his ass, and I think it would have been over, man. But this is part of boxing. These are the things. Everything is not going to go your way. And Wilder put a lot of effort, to knock down Fury those 2 times. Because he's losing that round. He was losing that round until he got the knockdown. So he's put a whole lot of energy into it. When he get into the 5th round, that's when things... Well, actually, I think I gave Wilder the 5th round, if I'm not mistaken. I think he edged it out slightly. And a lot of that is because Tyson wasn't fully recovered yet. But 6th round on, it started to become a disaster. Then, not only is Wilder's legs gone, his legs were gone, as we mentioned, in the 3rd round. But then cardio started to come into effect after the 6th round. Yeah, a little bit behind the ear shot there for the 2nd knockdown. So he comes out in the 5th. He goes back to the body again, which is like good. And I think that's Malik Scott there. He's like, you got to go back to the body. So this is the 5th round, if you're just joining. If you're just popping by, if you're new to the channel, thank you for being a part of the conversation. Consider subscribing and stay a part of the conversation. I really do appreciate you. Join the family here at Divine Sense Boxing. And don't forget to hit that like button. It means a lot. I appreciate you. All right, 5th round. You guys notice how Wilder, this is telegraphed. You can't telegraph a right hand any more than this. And the only way he hits Fury flush with this shot is if Fury's exhausted and can't get out of the way. But this is basically, this telegraphing of this punch is basically what happened the rest of the fight. And that's why after the 4th round, he just couldn't land it anymore. Do you think Fury's going to get hit with the same punch again? He just got knocked down. Right? So he's just telegraphing it, and he just can't land it as clean or flush anymore. And you're doing it. You're loading up. You're loading up. You're loading up. You're loading up. Where do you think your energy levels are going to go? They're going to go straight into the toilet. And I gave this round to Wilder, the 5th round. I think he landed the cleaner shots. Now, again, I'm trying to look at his demeanor. He's still drinking water fine. He's not gasping for air, okay? So it just continues to tell me that it's not cardio, at least not yet. We're going to the 6th round now. It's just his legs are getting worn out. And you know how I know He's having difficulty sliding across the canvas. His feet, y'all ever like get up early in the morning and you're like going over in the morning to go to the coffee machine and your legs don't move very well, you know what I mean? And you get your foot caught in the carpet or something like that because you're just tired. Your legs aren't moving. This is what happening to Wilder right here. His feet are getting caught on the canvas because he can't slide and glide anymore. He can't pick up his feet enough to get across the canvas smoothly. He's tripping over his own feet because they're just heavy. They're tired. They've been worn out. You know what I mean? And this is why you have to do leg work, especially against a guy like Fury. Man, I wish they put in Sanchez in sparring, man. And it just becomes arm punches for Wilder. You know what I mean? And Wilder's starting to throw, or sorry, Fury's starting to throw combinations, and he's just missing. You got to see that, right? Wilder's just throwing to throw, hoping to land something. Right, his defense is just starting to deteriorate, and look, he's gonna miss miss two big shots, and just wasting energy. That's how I was telling people earlier. If you just join, I mean, his legs are gone. He's got to take a knee on his own. That's legs, right? So look, and he's falling back once again. Like no legs, no anchor, man. Fall right back into the ropes. No anchor, people. And Fury sees this. He's taking notice of it. He's taking notes. He knows Wilder is struggling to move around. He knows that Wilder's still dangerous. He doesn't want to get hit with something, but it's like he knows like it's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. He's got to keep pressing. Another big swing and a miss. Now he's starting to stumble around. Now Wilder's starting to breathe a bit harder. You can see, you guys notice his neck, his jaw up and down. He's breathing hard now. So now the cardio starts setting in. Before it was the legs, now it's the cardio. Now you're in deep trouble. And you know, he's got that warrior in him, you know. It's just pure will and determination at this point. Game plan is gone. It's gone. And it's just like, I'm in a fight now. Now I just have to just stay on my feet. The only thing that's in his head now is don't go down again and try to land something big if I can. That's it. That's the only thing that's in Wilder's mind at this point. And these big swings and misses is just really what hurts Wilder, man. It just takes so much out of you. Ooh, damn. And his feet came together again like they did in the third round when he got dropped. Same thing. But that time the ropes held him up. Watch, see? Feet coming together. He would have went down if the ropes weren't there. This is just pure will and determination right here, man. You know, the crowd, his family, his wife, ringside, his friends is why he's still in there fighting. And he's just taking big shots. I mean, his defense is pretty much non-existent at this point. Notice the bounce in Fury's step, right? More bounce, more energy. Um, Big Dog, what's good, man? GK Black, what's good? Thanks for dropping by. Ed Rock, what's good? Mark Anthony, what's good, man? So you notice the bounce in Fury's step, right? That is because it's not necessarily because he's in better shape. It is because his legs are adjusted to handle his body weight. His legs didn't fatigue like Wilder's legs. Secondly, he knows how to save energy. That's what I was telling people earlier. He knows how to reserve. When he's in the clinch, he's putting his weight on Wilder. He is recovering. When Wilder's in the clinch, he's being weighed down. He can't recover. So the only time Wilder is recovering is when he's sitting on the stool. When he's backing away from Fury, he's not recovering. Right? He's not. You think he is, but he's not, because Fury is coming forward with punches and he's getting touched up. So he's never recovering during the round. Fury recovers in the clinch and on the stool. He reserves his energy, and his legs can handle his body weight. And now he's just taking huge shots. This is the 7th round, I believe. And Fury, to be honest with you, he's sloppy. He really is. This is not the best Fury. He's sloppy. He's coming forward, and a lot of that is because I think he feels Wilder's power depleted. He's not punching as hard as he was, in that 4th round or in the beginning rounds. And he just sees Wilder on the back foot, and he's leaving himself open for counters. He was open for counters all night. And Wilder just didn't have the energy. He didn't have the explosiveness anymore to capitalize on it. And look, Wilder's just piecing him up. Fury. Fury's just piecing him up. And when he's not piecing him up, he leans on him. Look at headlock. See? Uppercut. And let me say this for the record, man. Any other heavyweight in this position would have gotten stopped much earlier. Deontay is all just will and determination. You can see the desperation of Malik Scott. But I will say this for the record too, because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, you see, he fired Mark Breland for no reason." One thing that stands out to me, though, is Malik Scott is screaming in Wilder's face. He's giving him instructions constantly, trying to will his fighter forward. Mark Breland didn't do any of that shit. Except putting water in his mouth. And I told people that Fury's defense is not good going forward. He gets away with it with Wilder because Wilder is not good at going on the back foot. And once Wilder gets tired and once Wilder loses his legs, you don't need much defense going forward, do you? Now imagine if Fury fought a guy like Sanchez, who fought on the undercard, who put on a brilliant masterpiece of boxing, right? Who can fight on the back foot. As a matter of fact, that's what he does. But the thing is, Fury wouldn't fight Sanchez like that. He would box as well, to be completely honest with you. But this is what I was telling people. Fury's defense going forward is not good, but Wilder could not capitalize. Period. Look at his legs. I mean, it's just tough to watch, people. It's tough to watch. I don't know how he kept standing. I don't know how he stayed on his feet. It's just arm punches, drops him again. What round is this? What round are we in now? This must be the 10th round. We're in the 10th round. All right. So this is going to be the question to Boxing Redemption earlier. He said the fight should have been stopped earlier. Well, here my thing with that is that I understand what you mean, but the problem is this. If the fight was stopped earlier, we wouldn't see this amazing 10th round right here. The 10th round was amazing because, and we're going to see it here in a moment, Fury dropped Wilder, and then the last 20 seconds of the fight, Wilder found some, not even second wind, like 8th, 9th, 10th wind, and basically emptied the tank on Fury at the end of that round, and Fury was hurt, which just adds on to this crazy fight, right? Don Shota, sorry, bro, I missed your super chat here. He says Barry Robinson helps him. Fixed flaws equals unbeatable. Yeah. I know who Barry Robinson is, man. I've known him for a long time. The dude is a genius when it comes to boxing. And I would have loved to help. I would have loved to be in Wilder's camp for strength and conditioning, man. I've helped so many fighters improve it, because sometimes boxers, they're too conventional with their training, right? They do their jump rope, they do their runs, and they do their pad work. They do their sparring, but they don't do things that's too conventional a lot of times. And I think Wilder is very conventional when it comes to that type of explosive leg endurance strength training. And I would have loved to work with Wilder in this camp if I, had the opportunity, because I would have focused so hard on building his leg endurance. I would have crushed Wilder's legs. I would make him get up out of the morning. He can't even walk. But that's what you do. You break down those muscle fibers. You make them strong. You get them built up, and you get them in position to be able to withstand a man who's 270 coming forward and trying to lean on you and hurt you. And you're going to have those legs in the 8th, 9th, 10th round to move, not just help with your power, but to get out of the way. And if you save your legs, you save your upper body. And if you save your upper body, you can defend yourself. It's all connected, people. Make sure y'all hitting that like button, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button. If you haven't hit that yet, get the likes all the way up. I know we got a lot of haters in there. They don't like me very much. I don't know how many other people, would do the type of film study that I'm doing right now. I don't know how you can hate on that, but it is what it is. We're going to continue on here just in a second. I just wanted to check the poll real quick to see where the poll's at. If you guys haven't voted, go ahead and vote in that poll real quick. Also pinned up at the top of the chat there is if you would like to be and if you would like to support the channel and be an official member of the channel and show your support, there's a link pinned up at the top there. Go ahead and click that, and it'll be much appreciated. So far in the poll, we've got 48% yes for Wilder, saying he came in too heavy, and then a close 30% said weight didn't matter. All right, we're almost done with this film study. This is the 10th round. If you just joined, Wilder was just dropped, and let's see what happens. Just will and determination here. Man, same spot. Fury hit him in the same spot, like at least two or three. I think 2 or 3 times in that same spot. And they didn't show the end of that 10th round. That's disappointing. But at the end of that 10th round, Wilder got on Fury the last 10 or 15 seconds or so of that fight and hurt Wilder. Hurt Fury, sorry. He hurt Fury, which I think was the final exclamation point to the fight. He got dropped in that 10th round, and out of desperation and sheer will, he emptied the tank at the end of that 10th round, put a couple punches together. Fury was wobbling a little bit. He was definitely hurt. But once again, just like the 4th round, the bell saved him. The bell saved Fury. But because of that last little explosion, that was it. He came out in the 11th round, and he was totally spent. He was done because of what he tried to do at the end of that 10th round. He had nothing left. And now it's just he's just trying not to go down. His defense is gone. At this point in the fight, I mean, there's the big shot. And this is the part that hurts the most, seeing him down on the canvas like that. It hurts a lot, people. It hurts a lot. I got to reiterate. It's not because he lost a fight. It's not because he lost a fight. It's because we had high expectations for him. We believed in him. We loved him. We believed in what he stood for. And we still believe in what he stands for. That hasn't changed. But it hurt because I think we expected something different. We expected much more. And we didn't want to see him take the type of shots that he took. We admire his courage. We admire his warrior spirit. And we will love him to the bitter end because of that. But it's just tough to see. It's tough to watch. I don't know how we can have 200 people watching, but only 112 likes. If y'all haven't hit the like button, man, just put your phone down for a moment. Hit that like button. It's free. So it's really weird. The same side of the ear is bleeding the exact same way. Yeah, I noticed that as well. He got hit on that left side of the head, man, so many times, just like the second fight. But more than he actually got hit more in this fight than he did the second fight, because obviously it went to the 11th round and not the 7th round. and he was dropped 3 times, you know. But Joshua says, he says, I do legs, and when I walk out of the gym, they shaking like I'm in church. Yeah, man, that's how you got to do it. That's how you got to do it. And I speak from personal experience. In my athletic career, I've always been upper body dominant, just like Wilder. Just like Wilder. You know, when I was like 21, 22, I bench pressed, close to 300 pounds when I weighed like 165, 170. Um, my upper body was super strong, but I was only squatting like, maybe like squatting maybe like 175, 180. And I didn't worry about it too much because, like Wilder, I was light on my feet. I had a very good vertical, and I felt like if I built too much muscle in my legs, it would slow me down. And I got away with it for a long time. And depending on what sport that you play, you can get away with a big upper body and smaller legs. Basketball players do it all the time. Basketball players are lean. They have lean athletic legs, but they build the upper body a little bit because, they're banging down low. It's physical with your upper body. But when I got back into boxing, because I boxed when I was 12, 13 years old, I didn't have muscle back then. And I don't remember my legs ever getting tired because I was smaller frame, and I didn't have a big upper body to carry around. But when I got back into boxing after building up my upper body, but not really my legs burned out, man, quick. Because when you're in a fight, you're moving, and I'm athletic, man. I'm a mover. I don't like go forward and do what Fury did in this fight. I like to move and duck, and it's just two or three rounds of that, and you feel that shit, man. It's hard to explain unless you've been in the ring and you've been through it. And when your legs don't move, it just turns ugly for you. And this is why leg work is so important in boxing. And then from that lesson I learned, and then I started refocusing on legs and doing a lot of explosive leg work and things like that. And it improved my boxing so much that instead of feeling tired after 2 or 3 rounds, I felt good going 6, 7, 8. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't lose power. It's just how you train. You got to train properly. Yo, Christopher, I never gave you a timeout, man. I don't do any of that. My wrenches handle that business, bro. Specific volume. He says, hey, bro, real question for you. Do you think Wilder should move down to welterweight and become champ there? I think it's a pretty good idea, being he is always lighter and then his opponents in heavyweight. Welter's 147, brother. 147. Maybe cruiserweight? Cruiserweight, what's the weight limit's 200? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I think he's a heavyweight. Deontay is a heavyweight. He's a small heavyweight. He's a tall, lean, but strong man. It's like Fury is just a bad matchup for him, man. He's just a bad matchup for him. He feels like he's got to put on muscle to try and deal with somebody with Fury size. That's the only reason why he put on muscle. If he's in there against Anthony Joshua, he's going to go in there against Anthony Joshua 215, 220. And you guys will see a different Deontay Wilder. I promise you that. He's going to be faster, explosive. He's not carrying around as much weight, and his legs won't get as tired. I mean, we saw him against Ortiz, right? He didn't look the way he looked against Ortiz like he did against Fury, right? Still had his legs, got a late round, 7, 8 round, whatever it was, in the first and second fight. and had enough power to knock out Ortiz, right? And all the other knockouts before that, Brazil and all these guys, explosive, quick, but he's 215, 220-ish max. That is his weight. I agree with everyone that his weight is 215, 220. But 215, 220 against Fury, you're going to get tired even faster. And you have to put all your chips on the table. If you go in 215 against Fury, and yes, I know he did that in the first fight, but Fury didn't go forward in the first fight. Fury boxed. You understand what I'm saying to you guys? Fury changed it up in the second fight. So Wilder thought, I got to put on more mass to be able to deal with him. There's no way I'm going to be able to deal with him at 215. Fury's a bad matchup for him, man. And you know what the crazy thing is that you look at it on paper, you watch the fights, you watch the replay, and you would think, wow, Fury really dominated it. He really dominated the second and third fight for sure. But Wilder in this trilogy somehow still was able to knock him down 4 times. He knocked him down 4 times in this trilogy. A much bigger man with a lot more, let's be honest, a lot more skills than Wilder, man. Inside work, outside work, savviness, all that stuff that he's learned boxing from a young age. Let's not mince words here. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's be honest. Okay? But does he beat Joshua? Absolutely. Joshua's going to come in 6'6", 240-ish. That's nothing. Wilder will slim down to 215, 220, 6'7", longer reach, carry that weight naturally. And if Wilder lands a punch to Joshua that he landed against Fury in this fourth round, Joshua's sleeping. That's it. It's game over. And people don't understand, and they don't give Wilder credit for having an amazing chin. He got knocked out because he was exhausted. His body was done. It's not punch resistance. His body couldn't take it any more. Now, in the third round when he got knocked down, that was a big shot. But he got up. Okay? But by the third round, he was already losing his legs, people. Because from round 1 to round 3, he was throwing bombs and dealing with Fury's weight. You guys got to put this in perspective. Wilder fights Joshua. He's going to come in 215. Joshua will be 240-ish. He's going to be an inch shorter, and he's going to have less reach. If Wilder hits him on the chin, or anywhere on the head, basically, with a clean shot, it's game over. There's a reason why, in my opinion, I know the Joshua fans get really upset, but there's a reason why, in my opinion, Joshua didn't want to fight Wilder. And if Joshua was watching the fight last Saturday, he's thinking to himself, if he knocks down a 277-pound man with that right hand, what is he going to do with me if he lands that flush? Anybody would think that, right? Naturally. I think he beats Dillian Whyte, and I think he beats Dillian Whyte because Dillian Whyte is just too small. Like, as in, He's more of like a Bermain Servine as far as stature-wise. Do I think he has more skill than Bermain? Yeah, sure. He comes forward. He pressures nice. He's got a nice jab. But it's similar to Ortiz, in my opinion. It's just a matter of time. When Wilder is at a comfortable weight and he's got to punch down at somebody instead of punching up at somebody, yeah, he's going to get you. You know what I mean? And the problem now is that Wilder's 6, coming off of 2 big losses. The second fight was a devastating loss because he didn't win any rounds. And the third fight, I gave him in the third fight, I gave Wilder the first round. The fourth round was a 10-7 round. And I gave him the 5th round and the 9th round. Which means by the time of the stoppage, I had Fury 94, Wilder 92. So Fury was still slightly ahead, but the biggest difference between the third fight and the second fight is that Wilder actually won rounds. Wilder didn't win any rounds in the second fight. Okay? So he took a devastating loss in the second fight. Third fight wasn't devastating, but he still got beat up. He took damage, man. So the question is now, where does he go from here? Coming off of those losses, he was able to go out on his shield. He's able to have a little bit of pride. Will that be enough to motivate him to make a comeback and recover and get in there with somebody? I think you need to leave Fury alone. You need to leave Fury alone until you get a couple real big wins under your belt and see what Fury does with Dillian White or Joshua or Usyk, right? And if your confidence is boosted going in at 37, 38 years old, you still feel fresh, you feel good, then maybe we get the fourth fight, maybe. But Fury's just a bad matchup, man. And as much as we want to see Wilder knock this dude out, and he got so close to doing it 2 times, I don't know, man. It might just be too late at 36 years old. He had an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? He had an opportunity in this third fight. That was his time. That was his time to get rid of Fury. That was it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that his career's over. I would like him to go up in there against like Andy Ruiz. And Andy Ruiz is not going to be easy. He's got good punch resistance. He's tough. He's got good hand speed. You get a good, and he hasn't been knocked out, right? Andy Ruiz has never been knocked out. He's been knocked down, but he's never been knocked out. If you knock out Andy Ruiz, that's a good victory. You know what I mean? That's a good victory. That boosts your confidence, and that swings you back into a conversation. But the question is, does he have the motivation anymore? He's made a lot of money in the sport. He's been able to take care of his family. And he's taken 2 tough losses. Yeah, sure. I'm only going to go for about another 20, 30 minutes though, brother. I'll go ahead and drop the link in here, man. I don't give a shit. There might be some trolls that try to jump in, but you know what? You got to verify yourself anyway. And I know I'm pretty good, man. I know who my subscribers are. Christopher says, Divine Sense, what happens if Fury loses to Usyk, then Wilder beats Usyk? Which is very possible. Which is very, very possible. Look, people, styles make fights. Ali beat Foreman. Nobody thought he would. Ali and Frazier had 3 wars. They try to kill each other, right? And sometimes Ali had the edge, sometimes Frazier had the edge. But then Ali always had problems with Ken Norton, right? But Ken Norton had problems with other fighters that Ali didn't have problems with. Styles make fights. And this is something that that Wilder may be thinking, and he can come back and knock out Andy Ruiz and get a hold of Usyk, and Usyk could be doing good, doing his boxing thing, and then boom, hit him with a big shot, over, beats Usyk. Usyk, the guy who took the belts from Joshua. And then Wilder can knock out Joshua. You know what I mean? And Fury can just be that guy who he can't beat. It's just a bad matchup for him. And he can train properly for Fury, but he can't implement it for whatever reason. Only the gods know. He can't implement it during the fight. That's just the way it works sometimes in boxing. And so this is why we have to come on here and critique the fight, do a film study, and we do it out of love. I want Wilder to come back. Absolutely. I still think he has tread left on the tires. I think that he can still solidify his resume in boxing history. If he retires now, yeah, a devastating puncher. He'll always be remembered for that, but he'll also be a guy who couldn't get past Fury, and he didn't have any other notable wins on his resume. But if he makes a comeback and beats Ruiz and beats Joshua, beats Usyk, he's up there with Fury, man. Even though he lost to him twice, he was able to knock down Fury 4 times in a trilogy. And then he's able to beat Ruiz, Usyk, Joshua, for example. He's up there as one of the best heavyweights of this generation. I don't give a shit if you like him or not. That's fact. Fury might take the number 1 spot, and Fury takes the number 2 spot of this generation. There's nothing to be ashamed of when it comes to that. I'm going to drop the link into the chat here. I'm going to be on for a little bit while longer. If anybody wants to jump in and drop their quick thoughts, I'll drop the link in here. And like I said, I know who my subscribers are. If you try to sneak up in here, you'll be banished, blocked, and sent to the Phantom Zone. Don says, I want Wilder to be undisputed. His goal was always one face, one name. Yeah, me too. And he can still do it. We don't know how the heavyweight division is going to unfold. I tell people all the time, there is no reason for Wilder fans to hang their head low. There is no reason for it. To hang your head low and be... yes, it took me about 24 hours to soak in my wounds and deal with these trolls out here, coming at me, because they've been waiting for it, and I knew it was coming. For the most part, I let them comment because they just make themselves look stupid, and all they do is just keep giving me views. By the way, trolls, every time you come over to comment, you're giving me views. I appreciate you. I'm gonna continue to make money off of your hate. So you ain't winning. You're not getting anything out of it other than your little personal vendetta. I don't got any issues with you, but when you start doing the race baiting and the race comments, dropping like monkey emojis and shit, you will be banished and ethered. Period. Crowd, what's good, man?
What is up, brother, man? How are you?
Doing all right, man. Like I said, it took me like 24 hours to find my bearings.
Yeah. Man, I
What's
was
on your mind?
Man, I was broken when Wilder lost, but I took it like a man. I'm still here, bomb squad all day. It's not the end of the world. Look, I used to wrestle back in high school, and my coach always told me never be satisfied in victory, but always be humble and eager in defeat because there's always something that you don't know what's going to come after you when you lose. And in life, you got to lose in order to win. But in this case with Wilder, he didn't really lose anything. He just lost, a fight that didn't go his way, which, there's still some, some like little speculation to it, with like the unfair glove advantage that Fury tried to do. But other than that, I respect the fact that Wilder, he took on the challenge anyway because he just wanted to get his get back, and he gave a good, valiant effort. That's all that I really cared about. And one thing that Fury did not respect out of Wilder was his will and courage because he knew Wilder was going to come to fight and beat the crap out of him. And what did Fury do every time when Wilder pressured him? He kept going backwards. But when that fatigue set in, like you said, I think that's what factored into the fight, making Wilder very susceptible.
Yeah. You know, I've basically been saying this whole 2-hour live stream that the leg fatigue is what killed Wilder big time. His defense was never that great anyway. Let's just be honest. He's never been a defensive wizard. He has a little high guard. That's how he defends. But he uses his feet to defend as well. He uses his feet to get out of trouble. And when you don't have your feet, for a guy who's not very defensive, standing in front of somebody, he doesn't have Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker, James Toney defense. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's just, if you can't move, you're in big, big trouble. And that's what I'm trying to explain to people, that it starts in the training camp, man. And in the pad work and everything looked amazing. I believed it. Shit. I mean, I talked about it all the time. It looked great. We never seen Wilder look like that before. But he didn't put in that extra work that was necessary in his leg work, man. And I'm sticking to that because it was very apparent by the third round he was struggling to deal with Tyson Fury's weight, even at 240.
yeah.
And imagine if he was 215, it would have been even worse.
Yeah, but
in my
I think
opinion.
But I think on top of that, he should have worked on his stamina too, because in the very first fight against Fury, he was doing absolutely terrific. He was walking Fury down. Fury was not even able to even pressure Wilder, and all Wilder had to do was just work on his jab, and the whole entire fight. And Fury, he wasn't able to offset Wilder. Wilder was easily keeping Fury to the center, and then once Fury got clipped by Wilder, Wilder was just taking those easy pot shots, off of him, and Fury had no answer to it. And once Fury got unofficially knocked out in the 12th round, Wilder just set it up beautifully. Same way that he did to Luis Ortiz, but just in a different methodology.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, I was telling people that, if he came in at 215, like he did the first fight, yeah, he would have been a little bit faster, for sure. He would have been a bit more agile, a bit more explosive. He would have got to his target quicker, but you just can't compare it to the first fight, man. Fury did. He fought that way in the first fight, and he learned from that. He's like, shit, I almost got knocked out. I can't fight like that on the back foot. If I'm gonna allow Wilder to be quick to the punch, basically, and on the back foot, it's just too much of a risk. He's too big of a puncher, and that's what Fury realized, and that's why he brought in Sugar Hill to change up his whole scheme. And he knew, and Sugar Hill and Fury both knew, that Wilder isn't the greatest on the back foot. He's just not. And that's because he's never had to develop those skills coming up through the ranks because he's just cleaning out everyone. You know what I mean? And he just had
Yeah.
that eraser.
But I was also going to counter that argument to say, like, he should have had, like, a defensive, type of coach with him. Because if he worked on those deficiencies more with Malik Scott, along with a defensive coach, along with a strength and conditioning type of coach that implemented all the weaknesses that he needs to clean up, he would be a, like, very dangerous fighter. And he definitely would have stopped Fury from the first fight, like, a lot earlier, hands down.
That's a fair point. That's a fair counter. Don Shota, what's good, man?
What's going on, everybody? It's Don Shot in the building. Divine, thank you so much for having me on. Shout
Yes,
out
sir.
to you, Crody, rest of the chat.
Yep.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, man, that shit hurt me Saturday, man. that shit hurt, man. That 11th round, me and the crew, that hurt. I'm still feeling it, man. I'm still riding with Wilder. It's still Bomb Squad. It's just, I just think there's a lot of technical holes. He's still a tremendous fighter. I still think he can be undisputed. I think he can beat Tyson Fury eventually. He just has to fix like the no defense, the bad lead foot move, the bad placement of the lead foot, having his hands too low. It's just these things that I originally thought were nuances, but against a fighter like Fury, these flaws are exemplified, and that costed him. And the other thing too, that conditioning, that stamina, that weight. I don't think the weight itself was the problem, but I think it was more so the distribution. He was very top heavy, and as you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier, you needed to kill those legs, because your legs, they support your mass. They support your center of gravity, if I'm not mistaken. So I think the weight, a lot more of that weight should have been on his legs. If they do fight again, I think it's possible Wilder does get him out of there. He just he just really has to clean up those technical things and learning how to fight on the back foot. He can still learn because he's athletic, but at this point, at this level, I think it's absolutely a must. For the simple fact, everybody, anybody out there watching that is gonna take pieces of Fury's strategy and try to press him, try to press the offense against him, try to prevent him from getting off shots, regardless of their size. Um, I think he definitely needs to fire that fucking he needs to fire that that whoever he had as his conditioning coach was garbage.
Yes, sir.
He needs somebody like
I agree.
yourself. He
Oh,
needs,
fire
And-
GPS.
And
Huh?
that's a good point, because the Malik Scott, okay, I see a lot of people putting him in the chat here. I agree. I don't put any blame on Malik Scott.
No, I don't either.
Malik, you can tell that he did his work. He did his due diligence. He can't go in there and fight for Wilder. You can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. And I think he did everything he could. I liked how he was in the corner. He was positive. He was giving instructions. He was trying to motivate, something that we didn't see with Mark Breland. Okay?
Yeah.
And I don't have any problem with Malik, and I hope Malik and Deontay stay together, and I think they will.
I
But
believe they are.
Malik Scott is not responsible, okay, for this type of training, as in like training for endurance and stamina and explosiveness. That's why you have a strength and conditioning coach at this level. This is not amateur boxing. This is not my first fight in the pros, my fifth fight in the pros. You are at world championship level. So you need to have a strength and conditioning coach, and let your boxing trainer, whoever your lead trainer is, worry about refining your boxing skill. And that's why you need somebody, to come in, how I used to do it in camps. Fighters come in, they see me first thing in the morning before they put on any boxing gloves, before they put on hand wraps or any of that. Right? They go and see the strength and conditioning coach early in the morning, and we put that work in. And we lift, we do explosive work. You get that in, you go take a shower, you go eat, you recover, and then you come back later in the later afternoon, early evening, and then you get in that boxing work. 2 times a day, 5 to 6 days a week with 1 rest day. You know what I mean? And you got to break down the legs. If you ain't sore in the legs, you ain't building nothing.
Yeah.
You're not building strength and endurance.
Can I add in on that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's actually a good point because when I used to wrestle in high school, my coach actually gave us a lot of drills to work on the lower body before we work on the upper body, because every time in a wrestling match, your legs are going to get super tired, once it comes into the second and third period. So every time when you get into practice before doing like actual live I guess like wrestling sparring situations, they always make you work on your lower body first before you get into any upper body exercises.
Yeah, and how wrestlers approach. My brother was a wrestler. I did boxing, and my brother did Roman Greco. How they train, man. I mean, my brother would always outlast me as far as like, when it came to endurance, because the way you guys train is just different, man. You're lower center of gravity all the time. You're low to the floor. You got to be explosive, and when you're shooting for legs, and you guys are doing that. I don't know what you guys call it, but the
shots.
You guys, the shots. But when you guys the free flow, like you're just kind of working through the motions, and you learn how to relax your body but still be balanced and strong. And that's what Wilder didn't have in this fight. He's tense. He's not relaxed. He doesn't know how to recover in the clinch, and he's just expending energy for the entire 3 minutes of a round. Fury doesn't do that. He knows how to be conservative and keep energy in the tank, and that's experience. And so all these little things, that's what you do, right? There's so many different hybrid types of training that you can do. If you're a guy like Wilder, 240 that's not his natural weight, man.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not. So you put on all that weight, you got to move that weight around. You're tighter, you're not as flexible, you're not as fast, and you're doing it to try to deal with the bigger man. But what you got to do, somebody said a comment in here earlier, is if he came in at 220 and built his legs up, he probably would have had a better chance.
Yeah, he would have stopped Fury.
I think so,
would have stopped him.
So it's like they should have brought in a big-ass heavyweight. Like, I'm talking 280 plus, right? Just big.
Yeah.
And just work on leaning on Wilder, holding Wilder, throwing Wilder on the ropes, coming forward with the jab, and force Wilder on the back foot and deal with this big man in the clinch. And you do that for 6, 7, 8 rounds. And you're not sparring. You're working on pressure, wrestling, clinching, holding. That's what you're working on. Then, after 6, 7 rounds of that, you step out of the ring. Then you start going straight into your plyometric training and your leg training again. And you do this, and you break down those legs, and you build that endurance. Because for me, when I watch this fight, I don't care how many times I watch it, his legs failed him. And when his legs failed him, he couldn't attack properly, but he couldn't even defend himself properly.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. This was his fight to win. That's what hurts me the most, I think.
Also, if Wilder attacked the body a lot more viciously in the earlier rounds, he definitely would have slowed Fury down. And all that Wilder needed to do was just force Fury to his back foot and just hard pressure with hard counter overhand right hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And the thing is, you go into a camp, right? It's like hour's not a problem for Wilder. That shit come natural. You
Yeah.
don't got to worry about none of that, you know? And it's like you just got to prepare for a 12-round fight to deal with the 270-pound plus man who plans to lay on you, headlock you, push you around. Every time you try to get off, he's going to tie you up. That's what Fury did. And that's how you got to train. And I don't blame that on Malik Scott.
No,
I
you
blame
can't.
that on you can't, because Malik Scott can only do one thing. He's only one man. That's why you have a team. That's why you have a team. And your strength and conditioning coach, I don't know what they were doing. I mean, I saw some videos leading up, and they were doing like some track work or whatever. But he don't have problems when his legs are fresh. He don't have problems with speed and whatever. He has problems when his legs get tired.
Yeah. You know, if I can, I still don't like how when he's going backwards, he goes backwards in a straight line. I still don't like that. He didn't, you know, bob, weave. He didn't do anything. He didn't slip punches. I mean, I think, you know, that ties back to his defense too. And again, I think that's just a fundamental issue. That's why I mentioned to you earlier, like somebody like Barry Robinson, and I like Malik.
Yeah, Barry. Sorry.
No, you're good. They know each other. I think at this point, Malik should add Barry to the team, to Wilder's team. They work together, and they fix those fundamental flaws: the inside game, the lack of defense. You know, the lack of a jab. You know, it's all those little, you know, minute things. And Divine, if I'm you, man, you need to hit up Malik, man. He's got to yell to somebody like yourself or Blu-ray. I'm real shit, man. I mean,
Yeah,
what the fuck
Blu-ray.
they had was terrible.
Yeah, I tried to hit up Malik maybe like last month. He never got back to me, but I didn't hit him up with my Divine Sense boxing channel, so you know, maybe
He may
that's
not
why.
know. Yeah, he may not know.
Yeah, he doesn't know who I'm in. I can be a troll, who knows, right? So
Yeah.
I'm gonna, now that I have this Instagram profile, I'm gonna try to go through that way and see if I can get his attention. But you know, for me, with my CrossFit training background and competing and winning many competitions, you know, that's what I can bring to the table. How to push through when you're tired, and that's one good thing about CrossFit, man. Is like you're overload and you're tired and you just push through. You know what I mean? And it's that, and it's functional training, and it's calisthenics too. It's getting used to moving your own body weight around.
Yeah,
You know, and it's just he's an athlete, man. You don't got to go out there and set up cones and say, "Oh, let's do some agility stuff." You know, he don't need to do that, man. He don't need to do that. He needs to work on power, explosiveness.
Yeah,
he needs to work on
endurance.
strength.
yeah,
Endurance too.
yeah, endurance too. But does that? I mean, I believe that all ties into stamina and conditioning. So that's a big
it's
problem.
all intertwined.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
everything's
sure.
all intertwined. I see somebody in the
It's all-
chat, Kafil, saying you have to blame Scott. You can't blame Malik. You can't. He's saying Malik Scott dropped the ball. He didn't
Yeah, I
have
saw
the champ jogging. I mean, come on, man. You can't.
I like
I
how
mean-
Malik Scott trains. Like, you know, he's a terrific trainer. Like, you know, he is definitely a legendary student of the game. So, like, you know, his
People-
implementation. Sorry.
I was gonna say to Cafo, man. Look, I was stating it earlier. I don't know if you just joined, but at this level, the championship level, you got to have a team, and every team member has their role. Just like you have a nutritionalist, you have a dietarian, you have somebody come in and work on, like I said, the strength, conditioning. You can have one of each. You can have a guy come in with a weightlifting background, and you just work on weightlifting technique. And then you get another guy who might have like an American football background or a rugby background or a CrossFit background, and you work on, you know, the more athletic / endurance stamina part of it. You can't put it all on Malik. Malik's job is to do film studies, and work on boxing skill and develop a game plan in the boxing ring.
Yes.
That's what Malik's responsibility is. And that's why you have a big team. And that's why a guy like Wilder or anybody at the championship level, they have the money to bring in whoever the hell they want to bring in. And I would do it. I would do it for free, to be honest with you. If I got a hold of Malik, but because I would just love to be a part of it. But at the end of the day, man, people need to understand that Malik Scott is not going to take responsibility for him not having leg endurance.
Yeah, that's not Malik's fault. I mean, you can't blame him. That's unjust. That really is unjust to blame him. I mean, you can't, man. It's not his responsibility. As much as you may not like to hear, that wasn't his role on the team.
And
Yeah.
we saw the game plan in the first round. That's Malik Scott. What he did in the first round is Malik Scott. Go to the body, and Fury was confused. He was like, well, wow, shit, I didn't expect this. The problem is that he's in there at 240, punching to the body like he's 215.
Yeah, he needed his.
And he's just too tight. He's too tight. He's too heavy. And he was throwing big body shots, which is good, but you're just burning yourself out. At 240, you're just not designed in a fight. It's like people say, well, Divine, he was 240 in training and he had hand speed and explosiveness. Yeah, but you can't compare that to a fight.
It's not the same.
With adrenaline, with emotions, with nerves, with whatever else is going on, man. It's different. Your heart rate is already elevated before the bell even rings in the first round. That's natural. He's a human being.
Hello.
Razor, what's up, man?
Hey there,
Razor.
everyone.
Razor, you hear me?
What's going on, brother?
Yes. What's up, everyone? This fight was very, I have been thinking about it because I think that fight was emotions against Fury that it just really got him away from the game plan, and it really felt like he wanted to just kill him after the second round, and he didn't punish him enough for doing all kinds of things like coming forward, and when he was going backwards, Fury was coming forward, and he didn't punish him right there, and he gained even more confidence going forward, doing his tactics, because Wilder didn't punish him for that, and he was too overexcited as well, to the point where he couldn't control his breathing, and I think that all played with his stamina as well.
Yeah.
I agree. Kenny Porter kind of said the same thing along the lines of what you're saying. And he said Wilder was just too angry and really couldn't focus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
oh man, that was his chance.
Yeah, he just brought in. He did exactly what we didn't want him to do, which was bring in emotion. Because Wilder said it himself, right? He said, "I'm going to come in. My mind is violence, but with calmness." Well, he wasn't calm. He wasn't calm.
Yeah. If you notice the way he was staring at Fury from when the mask came off, it was like evil intent. Like he wanted to hurt him, and rightfully so. Look, I fully subscribe to the notion that Fury definitely cheated in the first two fights. Nobody's gonna tell me otherwise. Fury definitely did this man dirty, especially considering Wilder told this man, "Get off the couch, get in shape, and I'll put money in you and your family's pocket." Because Joshua damn sure wasn't fighting Wilder back then, and then to do this man in the manner that he did, karma is gonna get Fury sooner or later. Because as they say, God don't like ugly. I mean, I was really.
I think Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it, Don Chota, is that
Yeah, we're coming to the
instead of saying like, for me personally, without getting into the allegations and subscribing to it or not subscribing to it or whatever the case is, it's simple. If he is guilty, then karma's a bitch. That's it. Like, we've spent a lot of time leading up to this fight, going back and forth about it, and people get upset. And there are channels right now out there attacking the LDBC, attacking these other content creators, all because of these allegations. And so for me, it's like I'm personally not going to get dragged into it. I almost did a few times, because for me, it's like, if he's guilty, that shit's coming for him.
Yeah.
And he's got to deal with that. He's going to have to face the music at some point. And you know what? Maybe this is all God's plan for Wilder to go through this. And we don't know, right? Fury might take a fight against Dillian White and get knocked the hell out.
Yep.
Man, it's crazy. I was thinking that today too. I don't know why.
Also, Fury has 1 month to get ready for that fight. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, doesn't White have to fight Otto Wallin? And I don't think he want to see Wallin again.
Oh yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
So wait.
But White is Fury's mandatory though, right?
But
Fury's mandatory.
They're apparently forcing White and Wallin to fight each other, and then whoever wins that fight fights Fury.
Fights Tyson Fury. Because I don't think Otto Wallin's gonna go down easily. I think Otto Wallin's gonna smash Dillian White.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this is what I was saying earlier, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Is that this is boxing, right? This is Fury could just be that guy that has Wilder's number. He's in Wilder's pocket. You know what I mean? And Muhammad Ali had Ken Norton. He struggled with Ken Norton. And then Ken Norton would struggle with other fighters that Ali would make easy work of. And that's the way boxing works sometimes, man.
Yeah.
And Usyk goes in there and he pieces up Joshua, and I think he'll piece his ass up again in the rematch too. But then Usyk goes in there against Wilder, and I think he gets slept.
Yeah, I think so too.
So it's just the way it works, and that's what I was saying earlier. I think Wilder just needs to take a deep breath, recover with his family, and not let these two losses get to him, and revisit the history of the sport and understand, even Joe Louis had guys that he had problems with, and he's one of the greatest heavyweights of all time.
Yeah. It's
just the way that it is, and you come back, you go up against a guy like Andrew Ruiz or something like that, get a nice victory, come in at the weight that you should be coming in at, 215, 220. Then you get that confidence boost right away, and you're like, you know what? The weight was a problem. My mind was a problem. I come in relaxed, calm, no drama in the background, and look at how I perform. This is how it's supposed to be. And, and he can finish off his career still as one of the best heavyweights of this generation, regardless if he loses to Fury or not. But if he packs it in now, he'll be my favorite. But the boxing world will criticize him of being a pretty good heavyweight, but losing to Fury twice, arguably 3 times for some people. And he never fought Joshua. He never fought Usyk. He never fought Dillian White. He never fought Klitschko. He never fought these guys. That's what the critics are going to say. Yeah, but that's the way history of boxing is written, bro.
It's written in a very racist, context.
Right, I know.
For sure, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. We will put Wilder up as one of the best to ever do it because, we're fans of Wilder and we have that love and respect for him, and we know that people ducked him. Joshua ducked his ass for years, right? But that's not how the history books are written. When we look at Willie Pep, right? Willie Pep, one of the greatest to ever do it. But they don't talk about the losses that he had against Sandy Sadler and that shit was like one of the most rugged, dirty fights of all time, right? And they were both guilty of doing some shady ass shit during those fights. But at the end of the day, Sandy beat him 3 times out of 4.
Didn't Sugar Ray Robinson wanted to fight him, right?
Who? Willie Pep?
Yeah.
Sugar's a lot bigger though.
Yeah, way bigger.
Oh yeah. So yeah, sorry.
They had an exhibition. They had an exhibition in the 50s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Willie
I
Pep
actually
and
saw
Sugar Ray,
both.
they had a little exhibition and they were like putting on the show for the people. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. It's pretty cool. But yeah,
That's
I mean,
dope.
but Sugar Ray, he's too big.
Could I actually counter to that argument that you said that Fury has Wilder's number?
Sure.
I would like to counter that too when you get it when you're.
Yeah,
saying.
because I personally think Wilder can easily beat Fury if he's focused, but I think that the problem of like what happened with this third fight, and I'm gonna shade off like the second fight because the second fight had an unfair advantage to it, but if we compare the first and third fight, Wilder's deficiency was the technical strategy coming into Fury's jab. And if Wilder basically positions himself a right way to offset Fury's jab and get right to him, and like I said earlier, to force him to his back foot and hard pressure Fury where he doesn't have any breathing room, Fury gets knocked out. But if Wilder allows Fury to get that breathing room and get away from Wilder's pressure, then Fury can easily outbox Wilder. But the thing that Wilder is very good at is timing his opponents when they come to him. So I think what he needs to do better is just having the better footwork motion and then out-timing his opponents when they're trying to offset him when he's trying to get his combinations together. And then on top of that, get the defense up too, because I think with having great defense leads to better offense. I think that's what will make Wilder into a 10 times more dangerous heavyweight that is not shown out of his true potential.
Yeah,
I'm just going to comment on this just real quick. Hoplo said, he was focused at the time and he lost. Sad but true. I wanted him to win, but he did not. I don't think he was focused. He was focused leading up to the fight, but he lost focus very quickly in that fight.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
agree.
opinion. That's my opinion. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, to counter that, I think if he can, because at the bar I was at, we really couldn't hear because it was so loud. It was like nuts, especially when Wilder knocked him down twice. It was so loud I couldn't hear if Malik was giving him instructions or not to the rounds. But from what I heard people say, he was giving good instruction, communicating well with Wilder. If they gel and Wilder fixes, the fundamental issues that we were discussing earlier, the lack of defense, the poor footwork, those changes. I don't think any heavyweight could beat him. I literally think he will be unbeatable at that point. But again, this is I think that Fury would get crushed by him. I have a feeling they're gonna fight again. I don't know why, and I think it's gonna be like a Marquez Pacquiao situation where Fury is left, on the canvas, people thinking that he's dead. I just feel like I have a feeling it's gonna play out like that. I just feel like they're too intertwined, and something's gonna happen. And they're gonna meet again. Like I said, I still think Wilder can be undisputed. It's just he's got to fix those fundamental issues. And a buddy of mine, I spoke to him earlier, says he went to Ellie Sackback channel, and I guess Malik told Ellie that Wilder asked him, what did I do wrong? And I think that's a great starting point. Because it's like we kind of have to start over with Wilder, in my opinion. I mean, do you guys think he needs what's the way I can describe it? Not a complete overhaul, but a kind of revision of his tools, so to speak. Or do you think that's too drastic?
I just I don't know if they'll fight again, to be honest with you. If this was, a trilogy that happened 2 or 3 years ago, I would say yeah, maybe. But with Wilder 36 and at this point we don't know. I think he'll come back. I do think he'll come back, but you know, he's going to have to get a couple fights under him quickly before he gets 37, 38. You know what I'm saying? And because then it becomes a question of is age catching up to him if he loses to Fury the fourth time, because Fury's 2 years younger, right? So
Right.
2 or 3 years younger, but it's he would have to knock out a couple credible guys in grand fashion to even have an opportunity for Fury to give him another chance. And that's if Fury wins too. That Fury still continues to look good, and who knows, his ass, he might lose to Wallen or White and then go in retirement again. He's known to do that shit.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's how he is. You know what I mean? And I think that what would be crazy is this, and this is why I'm going to go back to my point just real quickly, is if Wilder comes back, gets Andy Ruiz, White, or Joshua under his belt, or Usyk, any combination of those three, and Fury loses and retires, Wilder's number one. And I'll tell you why. If Wilder comes back and beats, like I said, any of the combination of those three, you got White, in my opinion, White, Ruiz, Joshua, Usyk, and you could even throw in someone like Joe Joyce or something like that if he's in that mix and improves in the next year or so. So these five guys, if he beats any three of those five, and Fury retires, Wilder's number one, because Fury's only defended the belt once. He has one title defense. Wilder has 10. And if he beats any three of those five guys, he's going to reclaim a belt somewhere along the line, right? Because those guys are all up in the top. So he gets another belt. He defends it another couple of times. He's number one, in my opinion, even though he lost to Fury twice. That's my opinion.
That's a good assessment. I think that's fair.
I was gonna ask if Wilder does reclaim a belt, can he beat Muhammad Ali's record for 10 title defenses?
Wilder?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's already got 10, right? So he's tied it already.
Yeah, so he just needs to just get another belt.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean,
the WBC belt though, with the 10 title defenses. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, I think it's a WBC, right? So he would have to get that back, I guess, essentially from Fury or wherever the belt falls.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe just go for any belt, like the WBO, IBF, or WBA. At least that way, like that'll make him like a 2-time heavyweight champion, and then he could just pad up his resume with more high quality wins against all the other heavyweights in the division.
I mean, he's beaten Luis Ortiz twice, and Luis, I personally thought was the number 2 heavyweight for quite a long time behind Wilder, and both fights were really dangerous. So, I mean, I think he can do it.
Karma Boxing just said that Otto Wallen just tested positive, so it's going to be Fury and Dillian next.
He tested positive for COVID?
COVID?
I don't know.
Oh wow, really?
Karma Boxing is usually he's usually on point. He usually gives me good information.
Shit, damn.
Yo, that's gonna turn the tables now, because what Wilder he could do now, he could either just face Wallen, or he could probably just go straight after maybe I don't know. I'd probably just go after Andy Ruiz, take him out, and then
COVID.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. I hope he's okay. I hope he gets better.
Well, Wilder needs a couple of tunos before fighting like a top guy, because we don't know how he's doing right now, especially after the knockout. But I'm pretty sure that he can come back after a few fights.
Well,
Yeah,
according
he's not retiring though. There was a report already. He's not retiring, so I
Yeah.
believe he's planning to come back.
according
I
to
think he should fight Andy Ruiz.
yeah, I want to see
I
him
think so
play
too.
him, but I also want to see him go at it with Charles Martin. I think that's a really good style matchup.
I think he blows past Charles Martin really easy. I think he fights Andrew Ruiz.
I just say Andy because Andy, the first Mexican heavyweight ever. He has that. He has that
Yeah,
selling point, and he's never been knocked out.
yeah, it'll be like a good black Mexican showdown.
Yeah.
um I,
Anytime you get
What,
somebody have their first knockout loss, that's
what about it?
big.
that is. I'm looking at the chat. Andre Francis, I do agree with you. That was my next point. I think after he gets past, if he fights Ruiz and gets past them, he needs kind of a tougher tune up.
Or wait,
Eh,
Divine.
No.
Sorry,
no, you
sorry
good, man.
to interrupt, but I was gonna say why not go after Trevor Bryan? He could just go take him out, give the WBA regular title, and he could petition to fight for the Super Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I get the idea and the sentiment that he's taken a devastating loss and he's potentially taken damage that he may not be aware of that may affect him later. We've seen this happen before with champions coming back, and so I understand getting a tune-up. I'm okay with it. I mean, I would just love to see him get a win. Period. It'd be good to have him back in the winning column. But fighting somebody like Andy and he pulls it off will get him closer to getting that belt again. But maybe I'm just being impatient. But I'm fine with it. But I don't give a damn who he fights next. But he seriously needs to bring in Frank Sanchez as his sparring partner going forward.
Yeah, Frank Sanchez is a better style for him to work with.
Absolutely. It's going to force Wilder to move his legs and not waste punches because Frank Sanchez is very difficult to hit, and he's going to learn to tighten up his punches, short punches, be more conservative, and force him to move his damn legs. For some reason against Fury, he just walks in a straight line and he goes backwards in a straight line. You can't do that against Frank Sanchez. Frank Sanchez will piece your ass up.
Yeah, piece you up.
Quick. Let's real quick look at the rating. I want to double check the ratings. I don't know if they've been updated since Saturday. Go ahead and pull it up here.
He better
the
still be in
screen.
the top 5. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
Let's check it. Let's check
Yeah,
it. He
Wilder,
should
yeah,
still
Wilder.
be top 5. He's
he's still top.
probably top 4.
Top 3, top 4, don't matter.
Okay, ratings. All right, let's see where they got it. And of course, we got Canelo here at pound for pound. He's got to face off against Caleb Plant.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
No,
Come on, Plant. Come
Yeah,
on,
I'm
Plant.
for Plant hard,
So
man.
All right, so let's go to heavyweight. This is updated since October 2nd. So I don't think this is updated. But yeah, I guess it is because it has Fury at number 1. He's got Ring WBC. He's a champ. Alexander 1, Joshua 2, Wilder 3, White 4, Joseph Parker 5, Ruiz 6, Ortiz at 7, Michael Hunter at 8, Oscar Rivas at 9, and then Joe Joyce at 10.
Okay.
So let's go around the panel here just real quickly because I'm going to probably jump up off here. But I want to get your guys' thoughts for these top 10, what we see right here, or any of these guys on the map here. Who would you like to see Wilder come back against in his next fight, and maybe nobody on the top 10, maybe somebody outside the top 10 that you would rather see him go up against. And I'll go ahead and start it off with Crode.
All right, my top 5 opponents that I like to see him in there with would be number 1, Andy Ruiz. Number 2, definitely Dillian White. Get his ass out the picture. Number 3, Joshua. That's a big target. Number 4 would be. I'd probably go after Joseph Parker. Get him.
Maybe Joseph.
And then for number 5, I like to go for Trevor Bryan. I like to get him out. Get him out the picture. At least get that regular belt under Wilder's fight resume.
Okay, what about you, Razor? Who would you like to see Wilder fight next?
Or that White.
I couldn't hear you, Razor. Or he might have some difficulty. So go ahead, Don. What do you got?
I guess if I gotta get 5 in no particular order.
And if you maybe start with
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, he's back. Who do you got, Razor? Yeah, you're breaking up a bit, Razor. You might have to leave and come back in. Yeah. All right, go ahead, Don. What do you got?
I guess I'll give my 5. In no particular order, really. Andy Ruiz, obviously Anthony Joshua, Dillian White, so we can get him the fuck out of here. I'm tired of him. Tired of his shit talk. Joe Joyce, for the simple fact that I think he always comes forward, and I think that would kind of help Wilder implement a game plan of fighting on the back foot. And as like a 5th one, I really don't know. I really do want to see Wilder versus Usyk. I guess I'm gonna have to go with that. But the other thing too, I think he needs. These guys have. He's gotta go in there in these fights, obviously with the goal to win, but I think to really implement everything he's worked in these camps. That's the only way for him to really level up. I mean, what's the point of you doing the shit and sparring in a camp and you're not implementing it? You gotta be able to use it when it really matters, you know?
Right. Well, let's look at this. I found another list. I think it might be a little bit easier to scroll through. It's all good, Razor. Thanks for dropping by, bro.
Nice talking to you, Razor.
Shit, where we at? All right, so let's check out this list. I'm gonna blow it up all the way. All right. So we got Tyson 1, Usyk 2, Joshua 3, Wilder still at 4, even on this list. White at 5. Now that I think about it, Wilder White actually might be a good fight. That might actually be a good fight to have. We got Joseph Parker 6. Michael Hunter is at 7 on this list. Andy Ruiz is 8. Joe Joyce 9. Robert Helenius is at 10 now, I'm guessing, from his win Saturday night. Tony Yoka, Luis Ortiz.
Okay.
Filip Hrgovic. I'm terrible at Russian or Eastern European names. Frank Sanchez is at 14 now. Charles Martin's all the way down to 15. Pulev is at 16. Daniel Dubois is at 17. Odo Wallins 18. Derek Chisora 19. F.A. Ajagba at 20. So that's the top 20.
Okay.
There's some names, more names for you there. Plenty of options. plenty of options. I guess it just comes down to, does Wilder go for a more dangerous one, like a Dillian White, Joseph Parker, Michael Hunter, or does he go further down the list and fight somebody like Pulev or Daniel Dubois or I don't know, something like that. I guess it's all up in the air at this point.
I see Josh Smooth. How you doing, brother? I see Josh Smooth in the chat. I see you. I think if I think he goes with whoever has a style that allows him to implement everything he's working on. If that makes sense. I mean, at this point, whoever allows him to work on the stuff, because he's got to be able to utilize those things, man.
Right. Well, look, guys, great live stream. Thanks for being a part of it.
Thank you, man.
And we did the whole film study. If you guys didn't catch it because you guys came in late, it'll be uploaded on the channel later. You guys swing by, and I went through most of the rounds. It was a highlight video. It wasn't the entire fight. And we still were able to pick out a lot of different things that Wilder didn't do, struggled with, reasons on why it went bad for him. We hit a lot of different things, so make sure you swing by and watch it. If you haven't hit the like button, make sure you do that now before I end this stream. If you want to become an official member and support the channel, link is pinned up at the top, and we would love your donation /support. Hopefully we're able to answer some questions people may have had and bring some clarity to the situation. At the end of the day, it's still Bomb Squad. It's still, to this day, it's still Team Wilder. And it's all about him going back home, recovering, going back to the drawing board, and hopefully reevaluating how he continues to move forward at this time in his career. It's going to be a tough decision to make, but I feel like he still has enough tread on the tires to still make a move and still make some noise in the heavyweight division. And at this point in time, it's just a waiting game. But look, we're not in the dark completely. We have a lot of other great fights coming up. We have Canelo and Plant. We have Porter and Crawford. It's a great end of the year. So we shift our focus there. We let Wilder recover. And Wilder will be back, I would imagine, in the next couple of weeks or so with some official statements. Let his people know where his mind's at and how he's doing. And, we just go from there. And like I said, man, it's still Team Wilder over here at the end of the day. And sometimes when we critique, it's out of love, and all we want is the best. It's all we want is the best out of Wilder, man, and that's what we do. We do. So, any final thoughts from you, gentlemen, before we end it?
This was a really good panel.
First.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No. You go first, and then I'll go last.
Oh, my bad. Thank you for having me on, Divine. It was a pleasure speaking with you, the rest of the panel. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I do think personally, if Wilder is able to properly implement everything he's learning, and you need to seriously hit up Malik Scott again. Just my opinion. He either gets with you or Blu-ray for the strength and conditioning. Stamina issues or what have you. He reworked some of those fundamental issues. Like I said, and I think we're going to see Wilder 2.0, like Super Saiyan Wilder and shit. And I think at that point, nobody's beating him. I still think he could be undisputed. But, he's got to, think carefully and really, really, really work on a lot of these issues. I mean, cause like I said, man, that shit hurt me, man. When he was down at 11, that shit broke my heart, man. It really did. It made me feel like a kid again when I saw Tyson get knocked up by Lewis. And I don't want to see that happen to him. So I really would like to see him work on those issues he has. And I think he'll be a much improved technical boxer. He can just fix those things.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. And good. And once again, thanks again for dropping by. Crowd, final thoughts.
Yep. Thank you for having me on once again. Always have fun chopping it up with you. Um, I truly believe in the statement that you have to lose in order to win in life, because that is a really big factor in all of this world. And as this world comes in mysterious ways, there are ups and downs that gives you losses and gains. And I truly believe Deontay Wilder is one of the biggest gains, that not a lot of people exist like him in the world. And I wish nothing but the best for him, because he is one of the greatest people on this planet. And I hope he elevates himself to the highest level. As far as what he needs to improve on, it's very minor fundamental changes. I would definitely like to see him get it in with the Blu-ray. I think that would definitely improve his skills more, and definitely get a defensive training coach along with a really strict strength and endurance coaching program. I think he will become a more dangerous heavyweight in the future if he chooses to continue his career. But either way, Deontay Wilder is still a legend of this era. He is almost like Muhammad Ali in a sense, mixed with Jack Johnson 2.0. And I have nothing but much love and respect to the king, Deontay Wilder. Thank you, Divine. Shout out to the LDBC. And I'm just happy to be a part of this community and enjoy the ride.
Facts.
All right, brothers. You guys have a good one, man. And I'll be back on here again. We're going to shift gears and start focusing on the other fights upcoming. I'll probably talk about Stevenson and Herring. That's a great fight. And I want to give my thoughts on that. So you guys stay up, be safe out there, and you guys will see me on here again soon.
Bless up, man. Thank you.
All right, brother.